had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at housemarks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Damn puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Oh, well, this is... Hold on. I'm just excited about the fact that we're...
Are we live again?
Yeah, we're live.
Look at what has been stuck on YouTube forever.
That's just terrible.
Yeah, that's not
well,
good.
reload your page, because it should be different now. And do we have cameras going on CPT on that thing? Yeah.
Uncheck it,
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. So hopefully,
look at that.
I know. Look, like the cameras, like it's.
We have audio.
We have audio, and it should be normal, and it should sound like microphones and all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm sorry there'll be commercials during this for everybody who's watching on the live stream. But hey, we're piece by piece. I mean, I ran in there and typed in a stream key code live.
How many characters?
47, 48. Upper and lower case, like a giant, like a giant extra strong password. Look at that! Hey, there we are.
Hey,
look at that! I'm very. Oh, that's
unusual.
What kind of camera is this situation? Okay, that's good.
Is this just going to keep
much better
looping around?
No, yeah, it'll. I think so. All right, here we go. That's good.
I don't
all right,
mind that at all.
Look at that! It's so much better. All right, so welcome everybody. Thanks. Hi, how are you doing? Thanks a ton. It's all so flattering.
You can see this.
Well, it's a posture thing. You need
so.
It's a good. It trains you to sit up straight. Believe me, live stream.
Look at that.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
And then people can call in and I'll be able to hear, and it's just, I can't believe it. I'm going to cry. I'm going to just weep is what's going to happen.
I'm going to smash that like again.
So, yeah, please do. Yeah, because we're kind of just starting from scratch. Yeah, give a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and all the other words and things that are going on. Now, what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by my own tech madness was that, the Trump gravy train has always been the name of the game. Like, this has always been about Trump making money off of stuff. We now know that Trump had he had extras at his big...
Yeah, he paid actors.
Yeah, paid actors to show up at his presidential launch thing because it was largely a way to manipulate, I guess, NBC into giving him more money. Is that the network Apprentice was on?
Yes.
Yes. I see, my problem is I have a great memory, but only for things I actually care about. Yeah. And those kind of shows, which, by the way, the Apprentice is a game show.
Right.
Let's just not kid ourselves. Like, this is... that show was a game show. It was not a reality show.
It's like a scripted game show.
It was very much a scripted one. And he never fired anybody on that show. The producers told him who was going and who was staying based on ratings. It had nothing to do with whether he liked them or whether they were good at anything.
It just made a lot of people angry.
That's right, yeah.
I'll never forgive Donald for firing me.
Yes, right. And apparently, though, many of those people, they just...
Wasn't Dee Snider on?
Yes, he was. Gene was on. Gene Simmons was on, I think.
Oh, wow.
And I have to say, I have had, at different points in my career, people have reached out to me to do those kind of shows.
Yeah.
Now, I did like Celebricadabra, and I did Celebrity Duets.
I love Celebricadabra.
I did too. Now, the reason I took Celebricadabra was...
You love magic.
Yeah, and they paired me with Rocco Solano, who created the finger lights trick and stuff, who's one of the best close-up magic guys in the country. If anybody wants to know what it was like to work with Rocco... when you run into me, ask me to tell you the story of you can do that once in every state. And I'll tell you the story why working with a guy named Rocco from New Jersey who does finger magic might tell you something. But over the course of, and of course on Celebrity Duets, I sang with Smokey Robinson. I sang with Dee Snider and Sebastian Bach for the first times in my life. I sang with Al Jarreau. Yeah. I met, Richard Marx in passing for the first time.
You're gonna do that.
I got to hang out with Leah Thompson and all these wonderful people. Like, you don't pass stuff like that.
No, that's too awesome.
And ultimately, by the way, for the record, Little Richard was one of our judges. Aww. And I was his favorite choice, which is one of my things that I get to take.
Huge.
I get to take with me to my grave.
Little Richard liked you?
Yes, he did. He was
my goodness.
He wanted me to win and liked my singing the most, and that meant more to me than the entire process.
He's fabulous.
Yes, he is. We miss him dearly, and still is as an enduring being.
I just relived Tawny Kitane's death. I forgot she died, and then heard something on the news. I guess they came back with her toxicology report.
Well, then it was heart failure. Yeah, but and I mean, obviously she had an imprint on our upbringing in the Whitesnake videos and Bachelor Party and what have you. Yeah. Lovely lady, very loved by those who worked with her as well. But I did those shows because I wanted to do those experiences.
Yeah.
I learned more about singing. It was like a master class in singing to do celebrity duets. With my band, I had sung and lost my voice a couple of times. Yeah. I did not have technique. I did not, I was not accepted at New Trier High School into the co-op program in choir opera. Because
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that
because I was a comedian, and that's not real art. Thanks very much. Luckily, I was a rock-solid actor, so I got to do the drama stuff. But I didn't get to do any of the musicals or Lanya Potpourri because whatever. But, so I never studied singing. So I was always just skating on talent and genetics, force of throat, just being loud, right? And I learned, singing with all these different people, I learned all their techniques. Yeah. I was with them when they were practicing. I saw, that was great.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Same thing with Celebricadabra. Like I learned close-up magic. I still have all those skills now.
So why don't you want to do something like The Apprentice?
Because there is nothing to be learned except what your moral floor is.
Floor. All right, so here's what I want you to do.
Yeah, right. Okay. Or that you have none.
Yeah,
basically the Celebrity Apprentice and The Apprentice are basically ways of convincing people that they are morally vacuous no matter how much they might fight it. Like how and there is in many ways no better example in life than submitting yourself to the judgment and advice of Donald John Trump as a human being.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, there is a reason why The Apprentice was the show it was, and it was not him like doing bar rescue.
Right.
Right? I mean, think about the distinction between those two things. Bar rescue goes in, they make a total assessment of everything that's there. They talk to your staff. They look at the wait times. They talk about, the quality of the food. They taste the meals. They sneak in and do all this kind of stuff. And then they give you advice on who you got to fire and all this stuff. I mean, there's a lot of similarities conceptually, right?
Yeah.
Except it requires actual knowledge and work.
Yeah. It's based on reality.
The Apprentice and Celebrity Apprentice is all like garbage, embarrassing man on the street things.
Yeah, go start like a lemonade stand.
Right, yeah. And it's all just to create embarrassing fights between people who have careers in and of themselves and stuff, all for the pleasure of the Donald, right?
This person's not pulling their weight.
Who, by the way, if he had any skills whatsoever, would have every single challenge, you're up against the Donald.
Oh yeah,
right.
That'd be fun. Yeah, the boss fight.
I mean, hey, if that was my show, if I was like you were going to do a show called The Apprentice, and people know that you're good at business, you're like, okay, you're going to see if you can make more money than I can.
Yeah,
the producers are going to put you against me every time. I don't know what the challenge is. You don't know what the challenge is. They're going to give us the challenge, and I'm going to show you how I beat you every single time. Or are you going to see if you can beat me at this?
But still, even then, the cutting room floor is going to be littered with all of your racist comments.
Well, sure, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mark Burnett, right?
That guy. This is all Mark Burnett's fault.
Oh,
by the way.
It is.
If democracy falls.
It's Mark Burnett. Yes, he's going to be. Yes, he gets his own chapter in the burned out book that someone finds in the rubble of what this guy. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. But it should surprise no one that the Trump Media and Technology Group, whatever it is, that puts out Truth. What do you think the odds are that he's going to have some sort of political apprentice show going into 2024?
Yeah, like only on YouTube or
Who can be in my cabinet? I'm going to start. I mean,
he's not allowed on YouTube, is he?
That's why he starts his own website, just like Lindell TV. I mean, arguably, he could just buy out Lindell TV as it starts to fail over time, too. I mean, the dude just sold his airplane to pay for legal stuff. Don't get me started on the whole Brandon House nonsense over there, and that guy's bleeding him dry. It's like watching ticks crawl up a dog's neck, and you're like, It's kind of a mean dog, but I feel really bad. We'll be back right after this.
Poor ticks.
Poor ticks.
Out Chicago.
You can follow WCPT at WCPT 820. And now the TikToks.
I've seen some recipe things on TikTok.
I told you my TikTok ramen hack. It's the best. Wouldn't eat ramen any other way.
So you can learn from TikTok, apparently.
You know, it's all about learning.
It is.
It's all about learning. That's what we're here about. You know, it's learning and sharing. Sharing and caring.
Sharing and caring.
Sharing and caring and all that stuff.
Catch Out Chicago every Sunday, 11 to 1 on WCPT 820.
Can I get a weight reading on the cat in exam 3?
Zuri needs a new vet tech after their current one literally moved to a farm.
Snap-to-tail checkup is waiting.
But finding an ideal replacement takes some training.
This is like herding cats.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Schedule virtual interviews and talk to candidates right from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Attention, attention, stop what you're doing. Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Megaworldwide.
Oh my God!
They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks radio program, Megaworldwide.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. So, like I said, I signed up for truth. Because I'm already signed up on Justice and the American Way.
What are those?
The other,
good God.
Well, sorry, A Better Tomorrow, because Superman changed his thing from the American Way to A Better Tomorrow.
That's probably
because
we're terrified of what the American Way might be.
No, because DC has nothing left. I mean, I wish it could be because they're suddenly they've got some sort of awareness and they're doing some navel gazing about stuff. But the truth is they lost the entire character of Superman to the Captain America character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah, really, I mean, as the Boy Scout character who's ultimately good and represents values and all that kind of stuff. They've turned Superman into a weird, jealous monster. So
it's really dark now.
Yeah, it's not good. So basically, it's just
Batman seems to be coming around now.
Oh yeah, he's doing great. Yeah, his relationships are at least working out well. That's the nice part. This, and we will see this over the next couple of months as this comes out. But I will stand by what I have said in that I do not believe Trump is running in 2024.
I was wondering about that.
It's all a grift. It is all a grift. And once he realizes, or if he's already realized, I'm sure someone's already told him, that he cannot make money from his super PAC and spend it the way he wants to if he's running anytime during the time that he's running. And he needs every dime of that money. Now, the Trump Media and Terror Group, or whatever it's going to be, TMTG.
Media and
Terror Group, yeah, right. These are shows that will terrify and amuse. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. I'm sorry.
TMT.
TMTG. That's what you call it. And it's and you wait for Trump Marjorie Taylor Greene to she'll sue him you put a T on the front of my name. Oh no. This will I am predicting this. I'm sticking with this. I am saying that he is not running in 2024. That he will decide that the political apprentice zone things, he's not going to win.
Right.
Right now, all this stuff about him, quote unquote, running neck and neck with Biden and all that kind of stuff is garbage. Hands down garbage. No one believes that. It's silly. Doesn't matter anyways. Yeah. The idea is that Rasmussen and all of Trump's favorite pollsters are saying that he's running neck and neck with, that there's buyer's remorse with Biden.
An election today.
Yes, that whole business, which there isn't. And it matters. And sorry, he's going to lose to whoever he's running against next time. Hands down. Get used to the idea, because as much as he believes in an overwhelming support from his followers, the reality is that independents don't want him anywhere near the White House, and no Democrat does. And he is a demonizing factor that will drive people to the polls in a way that they wouldn't necessarily with someone like Kasich or someone like that.
Right, and especially the next 18 months of the January 6th commission.
Yeah, it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, because more and more they're going to see how much Trump was behind it or how much he greenlit everything.
Right. And those folks that might run in his stead are going to have that problem as well because
he's going to be their albatross.
Yes, right.
And he's going to want to like back them up and be like, yeah.
Make them. Yeah. So like, wear me around. I'm not an albatross. I'm a gold medal. Right. Yeah. And they're wearing the stinky dead bird around. Somebody's asking, what about DeSantis or Gates or Hawley? Hawley is one that Josh Hawley, the one who gave the fist up to the supporters. Yes.
No, he's not the dumbest.
That's Gomert, you're thinking.
No, there's one that's like, he's like kind of a pretty boy athlete.
Oh, Madison Cawthorn. Right.
Have you ever seen his handwriting?
Oh, yeah. First of all, he misspells his own name, which is fascinating.
He's amazing.
Look, you have a lot of freedoms in this country, but they don't include leaving letters out of your own last name, just for legal reasons. I just don't think you're right. And by the way, this guy wants voter ID.
No.
Sorry.
Like, his signature doesn't match.
No, never. It never has or whatever. No, it's really me. Hold on. Let me find an 8-year-old girl to come in and sign my name. Hawley is one of the ones that they think is...
I remember that.
Yes, right. But because he gave that fist in the air, that's the ad. I mean, that tarnishes him, even if he tries to distance himself from Trump. And he's been playing like, go quiet for a while. Go quiet for a while. That's the plan. But there is no there with him either. There will be some establishment-esque types that will be running.
I'm still laughing about the handwriting, I'm saying.
And rightly so. I mean, but he, he has his own history of, being sexually inappropriate with women and that kind of stuff. So he's right in there with everything else. Gates was all like gearing up to be the next guy in line. That's not happening. That's getting worse. Yeah, day by day. Marjorie Taylor Greene is losing her mind because her polling numbers in her own district are going down. You can raise all the money you want, but if your district decides you're an embarrassment, you're done. And she's a one-termer. Is
she up in 2022?
Yeah.
Thank God.
So she's got, this is the issue that the Trump crowd is up against. On top of the fact that Trump keeps talking people out of voting.
Over and over.
Over and over. All these things. We got to. If you go to Jordan Klepper from The Daily Show has been going to a lot of the rallies and that kind of stuff, and
I have no idea how he has his stomach for it. Like he has to go into some sort of isolation chamber to recharge after that.
Well,
or maybe he fuels from it.
Yeah, I think it's more that.
Because he's really good at it.
Yes.
Even though to you and me when we're watching him, it's like, well, he's baiting them.
Yes.
And how can they not see this? And he's being so smarmy right now, but they're just like, doodly-doo, I'll talk to you. Well, they think they're outsmarting him.
Yeah, but again, you have to know if it's The Daily Show, you're going to be on the receiving end. Right. You just are. But anyways, he's been going to these things, and the majority opinion at the Trump rallies, and remember, these are not new people at all the Trump rallies. So you go there, he's seeing the same people over and over again. Even in the special that he did, he interviews this one guy that went to 50 of the Trump rallies and was at January 6th, but didn't go to the Capitol. He was there at the rally itself and left. And he talks to this dude. This guy's not alone in going to these places, going to multiple rallies. Yeah. And most of the places Trump goes, about half the audience now are people who either are in the adjoining state who've seen it, or people who are going from state to state to state.
That's not good.
No, and it's not indicative of a big movement.
Right.
It's indicative of a cult.
Yeah.
It's indicative of a mega church, with an audience that has nothing better to do.
Yep.
At all.
No, not at all.
Like, they don't have relationships that they're trying to maintain. They don't have jobs.
No time for self-reflection.
None. And a lot of them spend a lot of time alone, unhealthfully, crawling down these QAnon holes. It's shocking that, he thinks this is he thinks 46,000 people showed up in Arizona. There's no way he lost Arizona. Never mind the fact there are millions of people in Arizona and no single group of extremists.
It's not even close to logic.
No, it isn't. Especially when half the people at that thing aren't from Arizona, that they came from all over the place. And it's a free event. Again, it's free.
Yeah.
Like there are, if that was the case, then you could argue that what's a good brand, like a middle of the road band, like 30 Seconds to Mars could. You could argue they have a movement enough to be president of the United States.
They get like 15,000 people everywhere they go.
For $100 a pop in merch that goes to the band, not some rando with a tent outside. They're not buying street merch. This is the band stuff, right? So these fans are making very clear distinctions between I want my money to go to them versus I'll wear anything with their face on it.
T-shirts?
Huh?
Do you have any good old street T-shirts?
No, I have some bad old street T-shirts. I have a Kiss Asylum one from when we went.
I remember you getting that.
Yeah, and it's like a baseball tee or whatever, but it's crap.
I know. So bad.
They flake off. It's terrible. But that, and again, somebody's like, I love 30 Seconds to Mars. I agree.
Yeah, they're fine.
They're fine. They're
My
totally
wife's
great.
a big fan.
Yeah, and I love the special that they did, which was a way
that was really neat.
Bullying their label into releasing the album. It worked like a charm.
Yep.
But you have to understand, like these audiences are real cultists around certain bands. Like they go and they see like festival crowds at a normal gathering, and these people are paying lots of money. I mean, I've seen Kiss 3 times in the last year and a half.
It costs some money.
Costs some money for some decent tickets, and they're always packed.
Yeah,
it's always full. It's always amazing. Yeah. You're buying. They always sell merch. You get something at each thing or whatever. Yeah. That is not what Trump is drawing. Trump is drawing half deadhead crowd, half locals to a free event that's an airing of grievances about people who politically are off the deep end, about vaccines, about masks, about their political rights, about freedom, about immigrants. It's basically like a whinge fest for right wingers.
Yeah. Freedom of religion too. That's a big one.
Sure, which means freedom of neo-Christic dominance.
Yeah.
Right, which is not freedom of religion at all.
No, but that's what they think it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But he seems to be baited into thinking that this is proof positive that he's really popular. Now, there have been shows that have been canceled that have been brought back by the fans. Famously,
Family Guy.
Sharon Gles, when she was on Cagney and Lacey, it was canceled. The fans brought it back. First show that was brought back by fans writing letters was Cagney and Lacey. Yes.
And we've got a soft spot for Sharon Gles.
We certainly do, because of her playing my mother for 6 years, and change because there was time after, obviously, where she sort of plays my mom just randomly when we're together.
She's delightful.
She's wonderful, and she's a great old Hollywood broad.
Oh, that's
in the classic sense.
Did she have stories for days?
Oh, good Lord. The stories that would make Jim Morrison blush.
That's wonderful.
And you have to understand, and we got to take a break, Sharon Gles was the last Universal Studios contract player.
You said that before. That's so amazing.
She's the last. She was signed on as a young ingenue in
like in the 60s?
64 or 5 or something like that.
It's so wild that studios used to sign people.
Yeah, and you would just make movies, and they just today you're in a mystery, and tomorrow you're doing a horror film, and that's how it works. And great idea. That should come back, by the way.
Totally.
They need to bring that back. I think that's a brilliant idea.
You just have this like a corral of people.
Oh my God! Yeah. It's so British. We got to take a break. Right. We'll be back right at this. It's totally, so
not
great.
Even solving problems.
I'm not even solving problems, and I'm talking like this because I already solved the problems, didn't I? I already did it. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, 773-763-9278. We'll be back.
Where are they now with Bobby and Art? That's Scotty stuff.
George Bliss, our cousin George Bliss, welcome.
Good morning, George. Welcome.
I've been around radio for 40 years. There's nobody as lovely and as friendly as my good friend Mark Pinsky. He's just a wonderful guy, and I just love everybody at the station. It's an honor to be on today and to be friends with all these wonderful people.
Tune into Where Are They Now, Saturdays at 10 a.m. on WCPT 820 a.m.
Hey, listen.
When it comes to Porsche, you'll find performance, power, and excitement in every model. And at Porsche Exchange in Highland Park, experience the thrill in our entire lineup. The Cayenne, Macan, Panamera, the 911, and the fully electric Taycan. Find which model calls to you and special order your Porsche with us today. The Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Visit 4Porsche.com, the number 4, Porsche.com.
I'm David Hochberg. It's Saturday. You either recently filed for or are getting ready to file for a divorce. You have questions about your home or purchasing a new home, which is why you should call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. I've been divorced and know how overwhelming divorce can be, but it doesn't have to be that way. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial Legal Housing Lender, unless 112-4061.
This is Tom Hartman, and I'm gearing up for another great virtual labor panel with WCPT and my union friends. We'll be live from 4 to 6 p.m. on Wednesday, November 10th on 8:20 a.m., the live stream, Facebook, and on Zoom. I'll be joined by my co-hosts, Joan Esposito and Patty Vasquez, and an esteemed panel of leaders and influencers in the labor community. President Biden has reset our future and given us hope again. And this panel is all about what hope looks like, not only for unions, but the middle class, because you can't have one without the other. We'll be discussing the state of the Infrastructure Act, Building Back Better, immigration reform and our workforce, the future of clean energy for jobs in the trades, and how labor is embracing diversity and inclusion through apprenticeship training as well as in the workplace. See you there. Thank you to our generous sponsors, Smart Local 265, Operating Engineers Local 399, and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Log on to WCPT820.com for more information.
I know I'm only on one day a week. I get it. I'm going to have to jump on GarageBand and start sawing something together. This is the House Bar Show. Wow. And a guitar note, and then progressive, and all. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Hey, Hal, did you mean something like this?
This is the House Bar Show. Wow. And a guitar note, and then progressive, and all. Yeah, it's going to be good.
The Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Welcome back to the show. I was just looking at the news that's coming out about the 9/11 call that happened after the shooting on the set of Rust, the Alec Baldwin movie, about the assistant director handing him a loaded gun, like an actual gun, which is like or with rounds in it. I mean, there's still details to be coming out or whatever, but there was apparently it was not. It was completely clear at that moment that this did not have to happen, and the person who was in charge of handing him the right one to use for the shot did not. That in and of itself is going to be horrifying. That's
a lot
where
of things are going to change again.
Yeah, for a time.
Because you would figure after the Brandon Lee thing,
you would, and then you don't.
That was what, late 80s?
Yeah, no, 90s.
That was 90s?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, we talked about this earlier, but John Eric Hexum was the guy who shot himself on the set of. It was a spy show about models who were also spies.
And it was just like a gag, like he just pointed
at his own head and said that maybe this time I won't miss. He was joking around and he fired it, not realizing that the wadding of those things comes out at the velocity of a bullet. And it was right up against his head. I mean, there was no saving him. Apparently, in Brandon Lee's case, there was a piece of a round,
like a shell or something.
Yeah, that it was like a crescent moon shaped. It had been stuck inside the barrel, and the gun that hit him wasn't even firing directly at him. It literally curved and struck him in the chest.
Poor kid.
I mean, because that's also the thing is there's a lot that they teach you, which is, you know, the camera can hide a lot. You don't have to point a gun at somebody to make it look like you're pointing it at somebody at all. It doesn't even have to be close. You know, it's like, you know, fight scenes.
Right.
There's a crossing of the line that you use in a lot of things where there's like a string between the lens and the target that's going to be hit. And as long as the fist passes through that line and the person moves at the right time, it will look like they were struck.
Yeah.
Yeah. All slow motion Rocky shots aside, which is a whole other thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
But the same thing is true with guns. There's no way you can tell the direction of the barrel within a certain range of it for visually at all. I don't
need to see it.
No,
I take your word for it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And in situations where there's just lots of guns flying and blah blah, like in a movie like Heat, or if you're shooting something like Tombstone, these are different circumstances. The guns in Heat can be fake and have electrical charge making the muzzle flash. They can be fake entirely. And
what about like when you see the bullet holes following somebody? Are those just charges in the ground, or is that CGI?
Yeah, in some cases they're charges. In some cases they have a like an air gun puncturing the glass from another angle. You'll see a lot of times when somebody runs past like the glass on a car, on the windshield specifically. It'll look like something shooting straight down into it.
Oh, I guess so.
That's because they're behind the person or whatever, and instead of it following them for real and passing by them, and they could get hit if they slowed down or were out of sync with it, or could get hit with glass coming the other direction, they'll fire a pneumatic like burst of air into the glass, and you can see which direction it's coming from. That's why they don't use it as much anymore. And a lot of that can be CG now. It's just not necessary. Yeah. It's so easy these days. So much of this can be solved digitally these days for nothing.
Yeah.
It is not even a circumstance anymore
of
where
not being able to afford, like, it doesn't take like
no, and especially when you're talking about what's the trade-off in safety, what's the trade-off in that, what are you getting for that expenditure?
What made this worth it? Yeah,
right.
That poor woman's child.
It's not. It will never be worth it. No. That even the potential for that loss will never be worth it. And at a certain point, insurance companies are going to start looking at that. And like I said, there's an entire industry, if somebody wants to start this thing up, of artificial guns that look real, that are not guns that have been modified, but are just devices that expel a little bit of light and smoke out the front end and eject a cartridge, a fake empty cartridge that was never empty out the side or what have you. There's an industry to be made in that. And it's about time. And then of course we learned that Peter Scolari had passed from Bosom Buddies. Yeah, he passed away yesterday. Or the day before. They announced it yesterday. I believe he had had cancer and had been fighting it for a while.
He was looking more frail the last time I'd seen him.
Yeah. And an absolutely sweet person.
What a dude.
Yeah. So this is one of those things where this is a good example of we have enough problems without making any more.
Exactly. Yeah.
Life has these kind of things. You are not going to be able to sidestep all accidents and car accidents and tidal waves and typhoons and cyclones and earthquakes.
So why storm into a bakery without a mask and a camera and ruin somebody's day?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that a good expression of your and why is that an example of your superiority from a political standpoint or any other reason when you could be sitting at home curing cancer is the argument, or coming up with your own better mousetrap, unless of course you cannot. And it's all nonsense because again, I think I wrote this joke when we were in high school, the old like master race. Oh yeah, tell you what, master reading and then get back to me. Was
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
one.
that was when I was in high school. I found an old notebook from high school that had a bunch of jokes in it a while back. I was like, I have to show these to Johnny because it's a New Trier notebook.
Oh wow!
And the reality, and I think of the Trump fans is at some point they're going to have to recognize, and I guess this is true of all politically active people, but if you're gainfully employed and you have other stuff and this is also part of your activism, that would be one thing. But this idea that I don't know anybody on the hyper left that pushes the whole, like, personally anyways, the Trump superiority complex, the idea that I'm better than everybody else, I know better than everybody else, I know everything about this kind of stuff, I know more about cancer than the cells do.
It's pretty rare.
That kind of stuff. I know more about syphilis than my team of doctors, or whatever his argument is. None of that. I don't see a lot of that. There's a lot of people that think you should know better. There's a lot of that kind of projection.
Right.
You'll hear that sometimes, that you should know better, even though I don't know what I'm talking about. You should know better. Yeah. That's the extremity of that. But at the root of it isn't that if I just stayed home, I could fix all these problems on my own. I just don't feel like it because you guys are dumb, which is what you get from the Trump world.
Guys are dumb. Yeah, exactly.
Right? And the Trump supporters have this kind of the racial superiority aspect of those crowd, like the Tucker Carlsons of the world somehow magically think because they have magical whiteness that any attack on white supremacy is an attack on whiteness because they align normal white people with their beliefs about white supremacy. So you get dragged into their own racism, and then you're the human shield because of your skin color that they use to defend their awfulness, right? That's the Tucker methodology. That's how you get, that's where the white fragility, fear comes from, is that they're using people who are just on the road of being alive, who happen to be white, as cover for the fact that what they really mean is, they believe in the great replacement theory. They believe in racial superiority.
And I'm speaking for all of them.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Right. And if you're attacking them, if you're attacking Tucker Carlson for what he says, or Nick Fuentes or any of those folks, you're attacking white people in general.
Nick Fuentes?
Yeah, he's one of the white supremacist guys who's always showing up at these events and stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, like Charlie Kirk and that crowd. It's to me, anyways. It's a fascinating dichotomy between, the extremists of both parties, and what it really boils down to is that there are certain ones, on the left where the extremism exists. There's some mild harm or fear of harm. On the right, there's some genuine, like, storm the castle, string them up, hang Mike Pence craziness that isn't in any way even as a point of balance. Do we have? Let's see. We got a.
Yeah. Look, we got
look at
Steve
this.
from the Gold
We got Steve from the Gold Coast. I don't want to, but we're getting close. Can we take a break early, and we'll come back and we'll take a couple of calls in our final little segment as well. We'll be back right after this. This is the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT.
Patty Vasquez.
We have Congressman Raja with us. This exchange has gone viral. You have over 1 million views on our TikTok.
So I basically asked the question, if God forbid your daughter were raped and became pregnant, would you force her to carry the fetus to term?
And her reaction was, I'm working to live in a world where making decisions about abortion are necessary. And it's so maddening because they don't.
Driving it home with Patty Vasquez. Weeknights from 5 to 6 p.m. on WCPT 820.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Hawk Volkswagen is proud to support the Pink Heels Joliet chapter. The Pink Heels support women and their families, not causes, so all donations go directly to people here locally who are struggling. We'll be accepting donations all month long, so please help us support this wonderful organization. October is also an excellent time to buy a new Volkswagen. We've got 0% financing for 72 months available on new Volkswagen models. Save big on a huge selection of new Volkswagen models like Jetta, Tiguan, Atlas Cross Sport, and the all-new Taos. All in stock now and ready for immediate delivery. Hawk Volkswagen Joliet, #1 in Illinois 5 years in a row. Located on Jefferson Street in Joliet or online at hawkvw.com. Available on select new Volkswagen models with approved credit is determined by Volkswagen Credit. See dealer for details. #1 claim based on 2016 through 2020 retail sales. Expired 11/1/21.
You want your basement to be dry most of the time? If so, Permaseal is not the company for you. At Permaseal, we believe your basement should be dry all the time, no matter how hard it rains. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. I've heard many homeowners say that their basement only leaks when it rains. Well, you don't worry about your living room or bedroom getting wet, so you should feel the same way about your basement. Call 800-421-SEAL. We offer a free estimate, no haggle pricing, and a price assurance guarantee so you can rest assured you're getting the best value. If you want your basement dry all the time, you know who to call, Permaseal. We've helped over 450,000 homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana since 1979 and have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7325 or visit permaseal.net.
Young, best for me and better Permaseal.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. It's now time for the happy ending.
I am happy, you are happy, let us be happy together, whether the weather is cloudy or sunny. I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky, let us get lucky together, whether the weather is cloudy or breezy. I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. 'Cause isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you, chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling, let us smile together, whether the weather is cloudy or stormy. I will still be there in the morning, I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning, I hope that you like cereal.
Yay! That was actually recorded right here in this studio, that so version crazy. Of it, when we had Garfunkel and Oates in studio, here? Yeah, because so they were doing a show and we were helping them promote and whatever, and we'd used that before. And then she decided to do it live for us, which was really sweet. It was really nice. It was good. And we kind of have an extended happy ending today just because we're in studio. Yeah. It's just nice to be here with you, buddy. It's really nice. It's just a good thing. Don't touch my knee. It's weird. This is radio, not television. Hans, Booby, what's with the gun? This is radio, not television. Lewis, tell him I don't know you. All right.
I was very glad you could see that on the stream.
Yes, right. Absolutely. So, all right. And part of the happy ending, of course, is that we both get to talk to Steve from the Gold Coast. He's on line one. It's nice to be able to even see who's on the line when I do that. Hey, Steve, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. And just as an aside, I think that the entertainment industry is under a lot of pressure with regard to these sort of action, gun-oriented films, in that, the moment you release a new film, there's going to be 200 channels on YouTube that are going to dissect every little bit of it. So they're really pushing for realism. But unfortunately, the downside of that is that you're also going to create a lot of danger on set. And you two and myself, we came of age in the 1980s.
Yeah.
When, you had people like Sly and Schwarzenegger running around with an M60 shooting it with one arm, and the bad guys running around with a 50 cal. That's like a cast iron pan in your holster. And so today's guns and gunplay is much more realistic, but again, it leads to a lot of danger because, they want to make it look as realistic as possible. So, but having said that, I also think that, you touched on an important point early on with regard to what the right in this country wants to protest. I would appreciate a good debate, but at least get the essence of the debate right.
Right.
Nobody is teaching your ninth grader critical race theory.
Right.
All right, this is even as an undergraduate, you would be challenged to find a class that actually touches on that. It's a graduate level / law school class, and in terms of the scholarship. And so what they've done is they're conflating a lot of other things and then just calling it critical race theory. And don't get me wrong, I think things like the 1619 Project, I think were noble in its conception, but I take issue with a lot of what's in the 1619 Project.
Right.
Including a lot of progressives, historians and scholars do as well. So I think we can have that debate. But what they want to do is simply, lump everything together and just call it some sort of exercise in anti-white, anti-European, Marxist, identity politics. And we should just be opposed to all of it. And don't worry about actually looking it up, researching it. No, it's just bad, and this is where it comes from.
Well, and also there's you create this false parallel where if I create this sort of straw man beast, this Burning Man, Wicker Man, crazy character that is associated with my own extreme, blown out, insane version of what someone else is saying. So you take something the left is saying that might be down the road a little further than the average person, and then you blow it up into something extraordinary. That's a common technique people use. The difference is that the right often takes that and then overlays it on everything else to make it the same. That this is that teaching people how to properly deal with or address trans people in the workplace because there's a shifting dynamic going on in society is indeed the total destruction of gender and the burning down of women's sports in every possible way. And whenever they or HR stuff like not being sexist in the workplace, is somehow damaging to the family union.
Right.
Yes, and I would argue that it serves a twofold purpose, and that on the one hand, it seeks to discredit legitimate scholarship, but on the other hand, it also gives you a way to rationalize your lack of willingness to pursue higher education, because unless you've been asleep for the last 15, 20 years, the right is pretty much indicting the whole notion of higher education.
Right.
It's some sort of left-wing indoctrination system. So therefore, if you decided to drop out of school when you were in the 10th grade, good for you, because you didn't miss out on anything. That makes a lot of people feel better about themselves. But in reality, we all know that that's absurd in the 21st century in a global economy.
Right. And even still, like, they've been pushing this anti-public school thing for a long time. So just because they don't believe the government can or should or would be able to do anything right. And they've extended... To them, that means that universal pre-K, which is just making sure the kids both have, while their parents are working, have someplace constructive and safe to be, where they will get fed and taught the ABCs earlier than they might otherwise, giving them that head start that allows their brain to become fertile for learning greater thought later. And the extension of 2 extra years of essentially high school if you need it, meaning community college, because that's exactly what that is. It's basically taking the AP programs you would have taken in high school, externalizing them to another place, and then paying for them if you so choose, along with vocational training or something along those lines, is an extension of the public school indoctrination fear that they have in all these circumstances, right? That's the monster that they want everybody to fear, right?
Yeah.
That has to be it.
And we should, on the left, we should turn it against them and say, you know what, okay, so you want to deny a woman the right to choose, i.e. Texas, so then let's by all means then provide her with the resources to help her raise that child. Let's help her, let's fund that effort, because according to you, that child needs to be born, needs to come to full term, and whether she gives it up for adoption or raises it on her own, well, then isn't the logical extension of that, then we should help her? But obviously the right doesn't have any desire to help anyone beyond the time they're born.
Well, that's and this goes there. I will say, and I'm glad you brought this up. And then I want to grab our other caller real quick. But there is a rift going on in the right wing over just these things that they do. Many of them do recognize that 2 years of community college does also equal vocational training, which is the first sort of recognition that blue collar jobs are getting some recognition within the, within the Democratic Party, and that's scaring them a little bit, and they can't be against it because later on it will come back to bite them in those regards. And the same thing is true of the pre-K stuff, because they're always telling people to bootstrap and get themselves to work and blah, blah, blah. And one of the arguments is, well, I can't because I don't have any place, daycare costs more than I've got, and I can't, I'm trading off this situation. I can't get out of welfare because there's nowhere that they can go in my area or whatever, but this universal pre-K, the availability of it in all areas, which is literally what it would mean, would give them this opportunity, and then they wouldn't have the excuse anymore. But the excuse, whether they really had it or not, that's another conversation. But the illusion of that excuse would no longer exist.
I get to be the victim.
Right, exactly. And they can't say those people are, using that as a reason to be victims anymore, because the excuse doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And then it puts the responsibility squarely on the shoulders of the person who is or is not taking advantage of a program that's available to everybody across the board. That all means testing conversations. Let's grab our next caller. Appreciate it, Steve.
Heather.
Who do we have? Heather in Michigan. Hi, Heather.
Hi. I watch your show on Facebook.
Yay.
I've commented.
I appreciate it.
Okay, I'm a first-time caller, but quite a listener. Anyway, it's good to see you at WCPT. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. Keep doing it.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you calling in and stuff. And I know sometimes it's hard for people to kind of start saying their 2 cents in things, and I would encourage you to just feel safe to do that. Certainly on my show, it's a safe place to do that, and I think my audience, especially the folks that join us in the chat, including our trolls, who again we love and we appreciate. We want to thank the trolls for making the algorithm recognize that we have an engaging show. But I hope that over time, you feel better about engaging from a position of strength and POV that you may not have had before. That would be a really lovely thing. So I appreciate the call. Thanks.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Absolutely. I will. We got a show tonight, in Madison at the Barrymore. It's me and Steph and John Fugelsang and Frangela doing some of the sexy liberal comedy. Our only show this year, and then we got more dates starting up. We had shows booked, and then the lockdown happened and blew everything out of the water. This is our first time back, and of course the Barrymore is where we launched the original tour. Oh wow! So we're going back home again. We have we got a couple minutes. Let me grab Peter. Yeah, Peter, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, I read that, it's terrible what happened on the movie set in New Mexico, but I also read that 3 of the staff of that set had walked off the job due to lack of safety.
Oh, no.
The day before. Did you read that?
Yeah, well, there are 2 incidents where they were concerned about the guns being used on the set and the AD that was in charge of them, or whether or not they had a proper prop master and that kind of stuff. More of that is coming out over time, and more of it will, because you don't have an accident like this without those kind of laps happening.
I also read that isn't there a strike, and that they were hiring scabs and untrained.
No, there's no strike right now. No, and everybody, even when there's a strike, the productions that are currently going, that either shows that haven't started a new episode or films that haven't started, those folks, you'll stay on until the project's finished. They don't just drop their gear and leave. So, and especially in this was an indie film. They were shooting in Santa Fe, New Mexico. This would be one of the problems, by the way, and I don't know that this is the case in here, but it's been a concern of mine for a long time that when shooting in Georgia and North Carolina, these places where they have right to work, where they are basically anti-union in what they do anyways, you do get people filling in jobs that are a little over their head, or they don't have a proper ladder up, so that people aren't learning the job that they're going to be going into. And in the case of this first AD, this might be, part of that possibility. Again, we don't know quite yet. Right. But again, these, indie films scrap together and are difficult to put together. And you have a lot of people sort of pulling extra weight all the time. And when it comes to stuff like this, where they're dangerous, where they, car accidents, when they're doing stunts and the like, there's a reason why bigger productions, why you go to the movies to see these bigger things, is because when you do them on the cheap, they're very dangerous.
Yeah, and I don't know, like I said, if three people walked off the set the day before, then because of lack of safety, and then they continued shooting, that to me that rings an alarm.
Well, we'll see if that's true.
If that indeed turns out to be the case, and who was informed of it and why, and because there's dozens of reasons.
Alec Baldwin is the producer.
He's the executive producer. Yeah, he's not there are layers of it. He's basically financing it. He's an actor in it, and he's giving some of the money. On an independent film like that, you'll find that happens a lot of times. That if you get a big name, it's usually them,
investing in it
because they want to be in the project or help somebody get started. So go ahead real quick. We got about 20 seconds.
One last thing is that why was the gun even aimed at anybody, for number one, and number two, not even another actor who was in the movie?
Because they were shooting off-axis on a dramatic scene, and the cinematographer was next to the camera, probably behind plexiglass. The problem was it turned out to be real bullets. Right. It seems to. So that's why. That's not that uncommon either, and that's but there's got to be better ways to handle that. And there are now, by the way. There's lots of ways you can handle that now, and hopefully that'll be a turning point. It's just a terrible tragedy. Anyways, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for listening today. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys, those of you that are seeing us at the Barrymore, we'll see you later on. And thanks, everybody in Chicago and at CPT for having me in studio today. It was lovely. And Johnny Miller, you're wonderful. Hey. Okay, bye.
NBC News Radio.